Hey guys, how are you? Yeah, we won't be too much longer, everyone. We're just waiting for a few more people to come in, and then we'll get the meeting started. I know you got any interesting anecdotes to tell us at all, Tim, or maybe Penny?
I've just been busy writing letters for people for their mandated Jabberwocky.
Oh yeah.
So I've just been doing that all day, and yeah, that's about it. Oh no, I cooked a slow cooked brisket. Started early this morning. Really tasty, but just not tender.
Lovely.
Nice.
It should be if you cooked it all day, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but you know, I had my doubts about the meat when I got it because it just didn't have any marbling in it. You know, meat's got to have some good marbling in it. I thought, oh, well, I haven't cooked a brisket for years. I'll give it a try, but it just, you know, just did not tender.
You know what a little trick is, Tim?
Tell me.
Just put a couple of tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just makes it super tender, and it actually brings out a lot of the goodness of the meat as well, like a bit of a broth, you know, bone broth.
Yeah.
Some bones in there as well. It helps it tender.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Oh well, I'll do that next time.
Give that one, yeah. It makes it kind of tasty and sweet as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, what I've been doing is I finished the letter to our local police, and we've got a council member here that's wide awake, so she wants to be mayor, and so of course we're going to get behind her, and she's offered to deliver this letter to the police. So I've finished that letter today, and yeah, went for a bit of an empathy sort of approach, and it was it's difficult because they have to be correct with all your information, you know, because they're going to pull you up on it if it's not. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
I've just been working on the website today. It's been yeah, lots of development going on and getting the process working in it. So yeah, I've got a few hidden pages at the moment that I'll be releasing, I think, throughout the week, but I'll do that after we've had our steering team meeting and we've had a bit of a chat about where we're at with it all. But yeah, I've set up a process page and the actual vote page and a few other things as well. So I've just got to work a few more links in, and I think we'll be good.
Very good. Excellent.
So I've also set up a download page for the blockchain app as well. So we'll start promoting that, I think, in a week or so.
I used your trick today, Tim. I put the word out for tomorrow's stand in the park, and I said, the power of 5. Everyone bring 5 people. So let's see. We'll see. Hopefully have a big crowd tomorrow. We'll put it out everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I can talk about this too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, well, there's some interesting stuff going on out there at the moment. Has everybody seen the UN vehicles on the back of the trucks? Yeah. And basically, I think this is just my theory on life. I'm not sure whether I'm right or wrong, but because ScoMo shut down Parliament last year, and we now have not had a sitting legitimate Parliament. Well, we haven't had a legitimate Parliament for decades, but we haven't had a sitting Parliament now for over a year. Then that leaves the nation vacant for somebody to come and claim in that respect. And so this is why I think we're now seeing UN here. And I have it on good authority. A lot of the police in Victoria that we've seen at the protests that are really, you know, just thugs, they are UN soldiers dressed in police uniforms.
I can confirm that. I've spoken to them at the protests, and yeah, that's absolutely what I believe too.
Yep. So we are in an interesting period, folks.
You know, we need to get some money up so that we can get this referendum going.
Yep. Yeah. And Wilcannia is in all sorts of bother. little town of Wilcannia, the Aboriginal folk there, which is the majority of the town, they are locked in their houses. They are barred from the supermarket, and they are being starved into submission to take the jab.
Crazy.
Now, there is not a legitimate method of doing that anywhere in the world. When you segregate a population and starve them into submission, that is just, criminality, terrorism at its absolute highest form. Yeah, and a couple of blokes, they got on the phone to a couple of blokes, some roo shooters, so they went out and shot some roos to bring the roos in for them to eat, and the police stopped them at the edge of town and took the roos off them, so as they couldn't feed them.
Wow.
So let's see what sort of good, solid Christian fellow the new New South Wales Premier turns out to be, will we? I think he's just another well-strung muppet or puppet.
Yeah, sometimes you're better with the devil, you know.
Well, it's I look at this and I go, the great majority of Australian population have no idea how close to the precipice we really are.
And they're really, that's obvious, like in plain sight, all of it.
Yeah. Anyway, ne'er to mind. We will prevail. We will succeed.
All of that should gain a little bit more interest in what we're doing here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
As well as those Dominion voting machines they think they're going to use, that just blows me away.
How good's that? I mean, nothing to see here. No. Look away, look away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
Yes.
As soon as we can, get a bit of money up, we'll get the word out big time, and then we'll hold our public initiated or people's initiated referendum.
Yeah. Yep.
So, if anyone knows any philanthropic entrepreneurs, please send them our way.
Yeah. Actually, I might have a yak to a bloke in Melbourne. He's doing all right for £1, and I know him fairly well. And he's like-minded.
That helps.
Yeah, that's big help. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, just coming back on screen. Okay, we may as well get the meeting started. Hi everyone, how are you all? Welcome to the QMS tonight, and thank you everyone for joining us, and of course thank you Tim, Penny, Michelle, and everyone for being here and supporting it. So I'm guessing everyone here looking at it has heard of what the QMS is and how it works and what it does and all that sort of thing. We will do a Q&A in the second half of the meeting, so that if there's any questions, we'll get people to raise their hands at that stage and we'll bring them in. We'll just ask that initially everyone stays on mute, and we'll have a bit of a chat to you first and tell you about some of the developments we've been doing and where we're at with it all. I'll ask Penny and Michelle and Magic if you guys could keep an eye on people coming in and let them in as they're coming in for us, just so that I don't have to keep reaching up and doing it as well. Thank you. But yeah, so the quantum management system, we've done a lot of development lately. We've got the websites going. You've probably all seen the poll voting stage that we've created, which essentially is you can enter your own policy in there and create a poll for people, or you can get other people in there to create the policy and add weight as well. At the moment, there's a little bit of manual handling going on in the background until we get some of the processes automated, which is software development that we're working on. It takes a little bit of time to get all of this 100% right, but it's come a long way just in the last few weeks alone. I automatically go to let people in every time I see that button pop up the top. Sorry, I've got to sit back, let you guys do it. We do have the rights to the Australia and New Zealand through the software developer for the blockchain app. We'll be releasing that very, very shortly. Basically, I expect to do that hopefully by next weekend. And yeah, I'm just creating the processes in the back end and within the website so that people will be able to see exactly how it works and follow it through the process. And then we'll let you guys start testing it and using it so that you can actually sort of see how it's going to work and start to test the process through. As I say, it's actually quite an exciting time for me with this, and seeing it all develop. It's a lot of work, but yeah, we're so close to having a working app. Well, it's not the app, sorry, the working process. Just needs a little bit more work, and we'll be there. So bear with me a little bit longer, and hopefully we'll have it right. I'm going to hand over to Tim for a bit and let Tim have a bit of a chat about the QMS and what he's been up to and all the rest of it. And yeah, thank you. I'll be back on a little bit later on.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. Thanks for being here. And, you know, I suppose none of us on a Saturday night can go out dancing or partying much anymore, can we? Not at this stage, not at this stage. However, I was fortunate enough this week to have a talk to a gentleman by the name of Lance, and he's got a fairly big organisation around him, and we talked about the QMS and what it meant and all that sort of stuff. And so they're a bit keen to see where we're up to and what we're doing and come on board. One of the interesting things that I did see, and I knew it was coming. Has anybody been across the Freedom of Information Act that Rod Culleton requested? No, the Attorney General. They approved it in 1973. They finally got the Freedom of Information reply, and so I got onto this the other day that the government, the federal government, in 1973 dismissed the Great Seal, and without lawful authority to do so. So this is another good thing for the QMS, because this now has set the government up that everything that the government has done since 1973, state and federal, doesn't exist. Does not exist. Now, what that means is all of a sudden Australia is going to need a system of governance. There's a perfect storm. You know, sometimes, and if we've got a few minutes, I'd like to tell a story about a basketball game, right? Might sound irrelevant, but my son used to play basketball, and in basketball, you've got 5 players on the court in his grading, and you had 2 or 3 subs that you could interchange, right? And they went through their whole year in the Adelaide comp with 7 kids, so they had 2 subs. They lost 1 game for the whole year. What happened was they got to the grand final and 2 of the kids couldn't come. So now we have 5 kids. The team they were playing had 4 subs. But what they had was that these 5 kids, and I'm saying kids, they were teenagers, had played so hard and so well together, they could read each other before the move was actually made, before the ball was actually thrown. They knew where the other one was going to be, and it created a perfect storm that the other team could not find their way around because they kept subbing people in and out all the time, disrupting the continuity of play for them. Here we are in Australia, where the governments have been mucking around, changing stuff in, out, shifting this, moving that. Whereas we, the small players out here, we have known that we had to stay on this path. Don't deviate, stay on the path, because we know they'll come undone. We'll know we'll come undone. When they come undone, we have to have something in place to give to the Australian people. Well, up until the QMS, it was really just to give them back the constitutional government. Now, we can give them back the constitutional governance with a direct democracy attachment, which will be just absolutely beautiful. But it has to get a little bit worse yet for the people to come on board with us. People are going to have to hurt a little bit more. They're going to have to be betrayed a little bit harder than what they've already been betrayed. And as that betrayal and hurt becomes greater, the awareness is going to open up. And if we all do our part, we can bring them straight into the QMS. We've got a cohesive team. We play together, we train together, we work together, right? We are not a dysfunctional faction. There's, you know, this is the thing. We've got this cohesion happening, but it needs you. It needs your cohesion. It needs your input. It's not just Graham and Penny and Magic and Michelle and stuff. It's not just us. You're the QMS, right? You're it. You're the QMS. You're the team that's going to play together all year, every year. You're the team that's going to know what the next person's thinking before they even do it. You're the part of the team that knows where the ball's going to land before it's even thrown. When people ask you, well, what about this? You're going to have an answer. Well, what about that? You're going to have an answer. Within what we do, I tell people that everything you do matters, but everything you don't do matters, good or bad. If you think, oh no, I can't be bothered doing that, it's no, I won't go to letterbox dropping. Oh no, that matters. It really does. If there's a march coming up and you go, oh, look, I really do want to get stuck into the garden. Nuh-uh. Go to the march because it matters. Trust me, the weeds will still be there when you come back tomorrow. All right? They won't go away. Oh, yes, but Tim, I've got to do the dusting and I've got to, it'll still be there. Do what matters. And what matters is coming together on these team calls, bringing other people into these team calls. This is what matters. It matters. Talking in your social groups, in your networking groups. That's what matters, right? Because we are at a very, 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 very delicate point in this country right now. And the whole world, you might think it's just Australia. No. You don't understand. Australia is the lockstone. Australia is the lockstone. If the globalists, whatever you want to call them, I call them Satanists, but if they can pull down Australia, the rest of the world will fall. You're probably one of the most important people in the history of the world right now. You don't realize it because, well, who am I to be that important? Everything you do matters. Everything you don't do matters. It really does. It really matters. Like I had a guy today, he works in the ambulance system in he's in management and administration. And he said here in South Australia that there is an unprecedented demand for ambulances. They can't keep up. 60% of their volunteers are about to resign. That means country South Australia will be literally without ambulances, right? This is where it's coming to. Everybody will need somewhere to go to, somewhere to be heard, and the QMS is where they're going to be heard, but they don't even know it's here until we tell them. Do not be a QMS secret agent. There's no 007 required. All right? We need Mrs. Jessops. Does anybody remember Mrs. Jessup? Right? We need plenty of Mrs. Jessops. Yap, 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 gossip, gossip, gossip. Get the QMS message out there. We all need to be Mrs. Jessops. No 007s, please. So, look, I don't know what else to say except that if you and I don't, just don't do it, don't think someone else is going to do it, because someone else isn't here. You're here. It's up to us. Right? It's up to us. Okay. All righty. That's about it for me, Graham.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it as always, mate. And yeah, well said. And I totally agree. It's now or never, guys. We've got to band together. We've got to stay strong. We've got to unify. We need people to talk to the other groups in the movement and to other people in the movement. We also need people to go out and talk to people in general, just the public. I mean, we've got to get the word out, and it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter whether they're vaccinated, unvaccinated. We need to get the numbers on board, and we've got two ways of doing that. One way is that everyone goes out and spreads the word and gets it out there through networking, through their social media platforms, through telling friends, inviting people to join. The other way is that we need to raise some funds and run basically a marketing campaign, which we can do in tandem with the People's Initiated referendum. Now, I won't go into full detail, but let's just say, imagine if we got everyone in the movement unified, and we had them take to everybody in Australia, because there's nearly 2 million people in our movement. That's a big percentage of Australians. So if we could get everyone to unify, come in under the QMS banner, and there's more advantages to doing that at the moment, which I'll talk about in a little while. When we reach the critical numbers, and the numbers are around 9 million, which is a big number, we can go out and we can have our referendum. If we get 9 million on the platform, we can have the referendum there. If we don't have them on the platform, then we have to run the marketing campaign. The marketing campaign would cost about $5 million all up. It sounds like a lot of money, but when you think about what the government spends promoting themselves and what they spend on themselves in a week or a month or whatever, it's actually just a very small amount of money. It's a lot to us though, and that's the thing. Most of us don't have that sort of money laying around. So we're looking for people who do have that sort of money laying around, because we honestly, I've tried to keep it from asking any of the membership for money, because I know everyone's strapped at the moment, and it's been very important to me to maintain the integrity of the platform. But I think by the end of this week, when we have the process up and working and we're testing it, we'll be able to show more people, hopefully bring more people in. And if we get, say, 2 million people in, and we ask everyone for maybe $2.50 each, we've got $5 million. And $2.50, I'm sure everyone can afford that. Some may be able to afford more, some may not be able to afford anything, but we will put the donate button up. We're still setting up it takes a little while to set up a non-incorporated trust, which is what we're trying to do. We don't want to go down the corporate line. We've got some people that have come to us recently that have different ways of doing that. We're also talking to people about reclaiming sovereignty and the common law aspects as well. So I was actually on the phone with Mike Holt yesterday, and he's very aligned with what we're doing, and we're looking at ways of bringing his people in on board as well. At the moment, he's got quite a lot of people that are interested through the common law courts and the common law side of the movement that would like to have a platform like this where they could actually, propose policy and do the same as what we're proposing. Now, I see Chad's come in, and Chad's a new member with us on the steering team. We've just brought him in recently. What I might do, I might get Chad to have a little bit of a word next, and then I'm going to ask Penny if she wouldn't mind having a quick word. And if if Michelle and Magic would like to say something. I know it should normally be ladies before gentlemen, but tonight I'll get all us rough heads out the way and let the ladies speak. I think that might leave a little bit of a better impression. But anyway, I'll bring Chad in next, and I'll go back to a little bit more about what we're doing when I come back on a little bit later. Hey, Chad, how are you?
Yeah, thanks for that, Graham. I feel like I've been shoved under the bus. I've been doing a lot of research today. For those of you that following some of the threads, you'll be aware. Look, we have rights. We have a huge amount of rights, and the scaremongering tactics of the government forcing people to be scared, and I won't stand for it. One of the reasons I'm here is because I'm fighting for my rights, but my family and friends. And I think that we're all here for the same reason. And I have a number of conversations with Graham and Penny offline as well. And the work that they are doing is incredible. And I firmly believe it. And we're working behind the scenes. We're trying to get this to a point, and I think we're pretty close now, that we can share it with a number of our networks. I've been working extensively, and it's overwhelming behind the scenes for the last few months, and making sure that the information that we provide is clear, concise, and worthy of sharing. And I firmly believe that we are now at a turning point. And correct me if I'm wrong, Graham, but with the QMS and the information, Penny, that we have been sharing lately, we are verifying this to the nth degree. And we're in a position now that we can actually hopefully share with our network and extended network and bring everyone together, particularly on the QMS stage.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you on board. Sorry, mate, I'm just replying to a message. Matt Lawson's trying.
Sure.
Your sound's gone.
Is my sound back now?
It's back.
Okay, great. Matt Lawson's trying to get into the meeting and he doesn't have the link. Can you send it to him, please, Penny?
Yeah, I'll send it.
Thank you. You should be in any minute. Yeah, no, what you were saying was right. And look, I'm doing this for my son, and obviously for myself as well. There's no greater love than that of a parent for a child, and that's the only true unconditional love that I've ever experienced in my life. So it's something that I can't leave my son in the world that we currently have, and the way things are. Things need to be better, and it's not going to be better under the current structure. You can't change a corrupt system from within. You've got to have something new to replace it with, and that's what we're developing. So, and as I say, it's actually quite exciting, because seeing it all come together the way it is, and watching this happen, it's very humbling experience for me. It's a lot of work, but it's happening, and we're not that far from releasing. So I actually can't wait to sort of see it go out there, because I'm really looking forward to see what sort of uptake we'll get it once people have something that they can touch and see and use. So hopefully that won't be too much longer. I expect, as I say, by the end of the week.
Can I say something, Graham? Sorry to interrupt, buddy. I know we're like-minded souls, and maybe Saturday night is not the right night to do all this, because we have families and we have friends and things happen. However, I would like to propose that everyone on this platform, and I know you have friends that feel the same way, let them be part of this, maybe we move the night to during the week where it's more convenient for people. I'm prepared to have a vote with that. And if you can bring one or two like-minded souls that you have and spread the word, it would be great.
Yeah, no, that would be a good idea. Sorry, I'm just actually also while you were talking then, Wayne Glue hasn't got the link either, so I'm just sending it off to him as well. So I apologise. I'm just taking care of a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, your sound's very quiet, Graham.
I'm
So it
sitting in
seems,
front-
can I just say to everyone, it seems the email didn't get out to everybody. I'm really, really sorry about that. Graham's been so busy this week. I did put out the code to everyone. So yeah, probably did have to just type it in today. Yeah, it's a bit of a juggle sometimes, hey Graham, getting it all done.
It is. It is in the events side of the website. If people go in that and click on the link for tonight's meeting, the code is actually on there as well. So, but yeah, I'm just sending it now to a couple of people to make sure that they can get in, because it's, I thought they'd already had it, but yeah, obviously we have had a few technical issues and yeah.
Some of us are more used to Zoom than others, I guess. You know, some people are used to just clicking on the link and it takes you in there, and then others are used to, you know, using it ourselves and putting the code in. So yeah, sorry everybody, but pass it on to everyone. So I think a night time during the week is good as well, and I have suggested that before, but I don't know what night is best for everybody. I mean, some of us are still in lockdown. I'm not lucky enough to be for a little while anyway. Thursday night, is Thursday night good for everyone? Yes, no?
I can do Thursday.
Yeah.
With that.
No one's really doing late shopping anymore, are they?
Maybe we can alternate nights, like 1 week Thursday, 1 week Wednesday, 1 week, so different people can join.
Yeah, sure.
Everyone has crazy schedules.
Yeah.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi.
Hey, that's a good idea too. Look, I have strata meetings with my clients and they vary. So I'm happy to be flexible with everybody.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll put it to some of the people in here that are coming along as well and see what people think. If you want to, if you've got a preference for a night, if you want to pop it in the chat. And
in the chat there, a lot of saying Thursday's good.
Thursday's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
7:30 is a bit better. Yeah. Sometimes 8 o'clock is good too when people have got their kids to bed.
Yep.
Little ones, you know, because they do pester you when you're on here otherwise. Yeah.
Yes.
8 o'clock. Yeah. Oh, he's not a pest.
No,
I'm trying to learn, Mum.
Michelle, what's your son's name?
That's Andrew.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey,
Hey, buddy. How are you?
good.
Hope you're having a good night.
Yeah, I am.
He was very interested. He's like, Mum, can I please join? Can I watch? Can I watch?
That's
I'm like,
good.
yeah, all right.
That's good.
Andrew and I are good friends, aren't we, Andrew? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andrew, what would you think if we had like a children's Zoom to find out about everything? And
Depends what you mean by that, but yes, I would say yes.
you
Like,
say
you
yeah?
have to have more kids to be aware, because we're also doing this for our children's future, perhaps same.
Yeah.
So we want this so our children won't be held into slavery, so they can live a happy life like most of us have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd be a great spokesperson actually for children's Zoom. So
That's awesome. That's awesome, Andrew. Well done.
He makes me cry. He's beautiful.
well, we'll have to organise that. I think we'll have parents with the child, and then, you know, they've got their permission, and yeah, that'd be a good idea. We've been talking about that for a while, so that's something that, you know, is a really good idea right now,
Yeah,
because there's parents.
Maybe you and Michelle could organise that.
Yeah, let's do it.
And, yeah, see if you can get some kids that want to do it together and set it up. So that's easy done. Did you want to go next, Pen, and explain your part in the QMS and what you've been doing with us?
So how do I share the QMS? People ask me that all the time. How do you want me to share it? What do I say? So, you know, a lot of you have been here before. We put out, you know, do you trust your government? That is the main question that you need to ask, and you'll always probably 99% of the time you're going to get no. Even those people that are vaccinated will say no. And because there's just so many things going on. There's corruption all over the television. There's all kinds of things coming out. So, you know, you're going to get the no. So that's your opportunity to start a conversation and, you know, go and get out there with your community. Matt Lawson wants a link, Graham. I don't actually have the link. I've only got the code.
I've sent it by email to him. Tell him to check his
Okay.
emails. It should be in there.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, so just get to know your community. Like you all know, I think, that I go to Stand in the Park. And if you don't know about that, go and look it up on Facebook, Stand in the Park. All the addresses are there where to meet, 10 o'clock Sundays. And go and meet your like-minded people. Find out who you can rely on if something goes wrong. Bring them into the QMS. You know, go to the meetings. It's so good to be there with all those sort of people and feel supported. So that's a good way to share it out. Use your social media. There's videos also in the QMS website. You can share those out. I think there's a link from YouTube. There's a Facebook QMS support group. You can go in there, share out the videos from there. You know, you've got your Telegram. We've got a Telegram group as well. So if you want to join, just go in there and join up. So there's lots and lots of ways we can get the word out, but it's actually rather imperative we do it faster and bring 5 people in every Saturday or every Thursday, whatever night it is, because we're getting like, come on, guys, what are we going to do? Like, what do you just heard Tim say about the UN ambulance trucks or whatever they are coming through. Like, what are we doing? There should be more people here. I think there should be more people here. It's just, you know, we've got something here, we've got a solution, but we have to grow the numbers faster.
So Penny,
try and bring some more people.
And I'm an advocate for this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Penny and I spoke today briefly. We have had some, at least one incident where we weren't sure about someone, and then we've had another one today, and we thought that maybe we need to find out some way to qualify these people. Happy to have everyone's thoughts about that, and I was just proposing simply, give us your Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, whatever you have, and we can verify that it's you.
The problem we're going to have at this point in time, mate, with doing that is we need to get the numbers in. And by the time we check every single person coming in, we're not going to be able to check 9 million people as they come on board. So I think we just get everyone in. If people are going to make trouble or anything like that along the way, we'll give them a couple of warnings and then boot them. I don't want to sort of be censoring people. I don't want to be stopping people's discussions or anything like that. And there's going to be a lot of different opinions and that sort of thing. And not everyone's always going to agree.
Yeah, no, good. Thanks, Graham. No, I appreciate that.
But
that makes sense. That makes sense as well. And I agree with that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Some people don't like to use their real name. Like, people are coming in here wanting to know, I understand that. You want to know what it is, first of all, right? So it's okay with me, really, if you don't want to use your name. But honestly, if you can put your camera on now, everyone's going to feel safer in this room. So if you have not got your camera on just because you don't feel like it, that's fine. If you're shy, that's fine. But if you can, put your camera on. Like, put your camera on. It's much better if we can all see each other's faces and where it become, you know, a tighter unit, more trustworthy group. And I know for a fact that most of the people here I've seen before, but new people, like, put your camera on, let's see your face. I think it's much better. And we'll get to know everybody by face, right? When you comment each week. I think that's number one ID is your face, right? So I can see someone on here that I've been missing. So I'm going to ask him to come in. Wayne, can you come in and have a chat?
How are you, mate?
Unmute yourself.
Myself, yep.
There you are.
Now I'm in.
How are you?
Oh, flat out busy as usual, yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, 7 days a week is not fun. But that's life.
I know.
Right, what are we chatting about? Anything?
Well, we've just been giving a basic rundown. Tim and I have done a bit of a speech about the QMS,
Yep.
and where it's at and all that sort of thing. As I was explaining before, we've got the website now. We've got a poll platform for people to start to propose the voting in. I'm setting up a process page at the moment so that people will understand the process that we're using on the QMS and how that works. I'm creating some links back to the various areas within the site that I've created. They should be visible by the end of the week. And of course, we've got the blockchain voting app now as the final stage. So we've got all the parts we need. It's just putting it all together now, automating as much of it as we can and making it work. So now what we need to know about is this constitution you and I have been talking about. If you wouldn't mind giving everyone a little bit of a rundown on that, if you wouldn't mind, mate.
Yeah, what I've done, I'll give you a fair idea. I've been through a hell of a lot of the constitution to try and fit this in, the system that you put forward. At the state level, it'll have to remain the same. And the reason I say remain the same, if we reinstate the correct constitution, you have to do it this way. What that really means is not what they're doing now. What they're doing now is 100% opposite to what the constitution requires. The governors of the states are the highest authority under the constitution, and they must be obeyed. There's letters patent to prove all that. And I've been teaching that for quite a few years now, because people need to understand that is our safeguard against corruption. However, since Federation, all the governors have been as corrupt as you could possibly get. And they've just allowed the parliaments of the states to call themselves governments and run themselves the way they like. The truth of the matter is, the governors of the states must select a large group of people, and from that we vote for one of them once for the lower house, one of them once for the upper house. Now, because it doesn't happen, we got the corruption we have now. If that happened, there's no preferential voting. That's out the window, because that's garbage. That was put in place by Billy Hughes in 1907. It went back that far. That's how far the corruption went back. Now, what I spoke to you about, Graham, and we can do is reinstall that system. Now, at a federal level, I worked out the easiest way to do with the federal level is to throw out all the numbers required for the House of Representatives and the Senate. Have 2 per state, because there's only 6 states. There's no territories. That's a nonsense. They've never been lawfully established. If they're established, we'd have to add persons accordingly. So how it is at present, we should have 2 people for the House of Representatives and 1 for the Senate. That would give us the 18 people need to sit with the Governor General. From there, they have to put together the legislation. The Attorney General has to be a legal practitioner of more than 5 years, but not a lawyer. Now, he'd have to sit with the Governor General and the 18 members from each state, which create the federal parliament. It's created from that. The federal parliament is 3 tiers: an executive, a legislature, and a judicature. My proposal is to fit in with your system is the legislature becomes us the people. So any legislation put together by the executive would have to go back to us the people at the state level, because we make the Commonwealth, not the so-called political parties. They're garbage. Now, if that happened, under the Constitution, none of the members of the Executive Council can vote for any legislation in the Parliament. So that's automatically there. We need to remove the people that are sitting there to debate and pass the legislation according to the Constitution. It's ours. Why aren't we doing it? And with this system that Graham has put together and whoever, It doesn't matter who put it together. It's a good system if you put it that way, because all legislation must go back to the people through their representatives in each state for approval by the people. That's when your voting system comes in, where we can vote online by our phones, whatever, and the voting is secure. So we say that legislation is crap, we don't want it, delete, or that legislation is fine, complies with our constitution, we want it, it's beneficial, we'll have it. So that annihilates the corruption. The courts, of course, have to go back under the direct control of the people through the constitution. It doesn't happen at present, and it's not happening, and they're totally corrupt, all of them. Every court in every state, and the federal court and the high court are totally corrupt. So you can see from what I've said, it simplifies our system, but it puts in place the checks and balances we need under the Constitution so far. I did go further than that because I know there are two systems being proposed by the federal Parliament pretending to be a government. One is the Great Reset, which is a one world government. The other one is the currency alignment, and it's there for the purpose of making every country's asset-backed currency, so that there's no credit currency at all. It's asset-backed. Now, if that comes in, they propose, the people who will put this through worldwide, and whether you agree with it or not, that's up to us at the end of the day, whether we accept it. They want us to go back under our constitution. That part's fine, given what I've just said. But if they want to go back and we are all sovereign, which is what they're proposing, we don't need to do much to our constitution except remove the monarch and replace the monarch. Well, that can be done. How I'm going to suggest a way, you don't have to follow it, obviously. The crown in our system is God, so that can remain. The reason that's there is to keep, the moral compass that we have in our heads in track, so that we have this set of morals through our whole system. That's the only reason God's there originally, for that purpose. That's why there's Lord's spiritual, Lord's temporal, so you get an equal balance. You have an oath of allegiance or an affirmation of allegiance, so that you have that equal balance. Now, what I propose is each state then puts forward one member selected by each state to vote for one person to be the Governor General. That's for your federal parliament with only the 18 members. Now, if we do that, those 6 members, or from the 6, one from each state, have the right to veto or cancel any law done outside the system I've just proposed. That gives us the backstop we need in case we have a corrupt Governor General or a couple of corrupt people in the states. And obviously, the people need to have the right to vote, because we're sovereign and supreme, to wipe out each of our representatives from the state if they don't do what they're told. Without being dragged through 100 courts in the state, we can just vote ourselves according to the system you are setting up, Graham. That would wipe that person out. Then we'd have to reselect another one. And the only reason was they refused to abide by what we say. So that sets in basically what I've put together so far. I haven't written it out, I've got it stored in the noggin for the purpose of, we need the checks and balances of the crown, we need the checks and balances of the monarch, but we can swap that check and balance from the monarch to the people through one representative elected for each state with the people control in each state. Now that can be the governor, or it can be another person, sits above the governor, not susceptible to legislative authority of the state parliaments. So they can't corrupt them through legislation, which is what they did here, using the Acts Amendment Repeals Court and Legal Practice Act, creates another state, an independent sovereign state as a body corporate. Now we need to wipe all that system out. We can do that, given what I've just said, but we still got to get the approval of the people, and that's going to be the hardest. So whatever we put up has to be something the people are going to take. And I believe what I've just said, when put in a written form, the people will look at it, see the benefits of it. They either retain the system we got with the monarch, which I don't think is a good idea, not in this day and age, because Britain's been corrupted that many times. And when you use what they put together, they literally ignore it. Like I've got a case in the House of Lords, the High Court of England and the Royal Court of Justice, and they're just sitting there until they bother to do something about it. And they're not. They're going to hear it sometime in the near future, in the next 6, 8 or 10 months. I actually have a proposal I'm going to discuss it with my wife, because I seized the 3 lawful tiers of the federal parliament filed in the House of Lords. I can actually use that to file in the High Court here under the Constitution and force them to do their job, but I'll deal with that issue later. The issue is, that's what I put together over the last few weeks while I've been wandering around doing millions of other jobs. And if you come into my world, I'm forever working on people's cars, my kids' cars, and telling people and showing them how to do their court cases so that they don't get ripped off in the courts. So my life is busy. I've got a little bit of time I can put to putting this in writing. I hope to have it done today, but I couldn't. So that's what I propose. You want it in writing? You want to consider it? Just say so and I'll do it.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, I would like to have a good look through it, and yeah, it'd be great if you could send it through, please. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, sometime in the next week, maybe. I've got that much already on this coming week, but that's life. And you got 8 kids and 12 grandkids, and they're all shifting around. They want you to help them shift, and yeah, good luck with that.
I get you, mate. I understand. It's a
Parent slavery, I think it is. You're slave to your kids. No, look, I've weighed it up against the Constitution. It's the only way I can see you can intermingle the two and get the strengths of what you want to do, which is hold the government to account. And I think it can be done that way. Of course, it has to be approved by the people, but by you mob first to start off with.
Yep. Well, we will have a way to get it out to people very, very soon with a bit of luck. So we're working on that at the moment. But
yeah, it's minimal changes to how the situation where it is now, but they're changes which are strong and gives any further control to the people. Take it off the idiots up the top who are doing nothing except abusing it.
Okay. It'll be interesting to, I'd be interesting to have a look, and I imagine Tim will be interested, and a couple of others will be interested to have a look along with me. So, thank you, Wayne. I really appreciate that.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you. I saw Matt Lawson come in before. Matt, did you want to say a few words? While you're there, I see you in there. That beard's gotten thick too, mate. Looks good.
It's a bit of a beard now. Can I just have 5 minutes or so? I'm just in the middle of eating some nuts.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Not a problem.
Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions about what Wayne's proposing? Can you put your hand up using reactions, or you can just unmute?
No? Well, perhaps Michelle at this stage would like to come in next and say her bit. I see her shaking her head there. No, she doesn't really want to. All right. Well, did you want to do a bit further of a chat, Penny, about what you've been doing with the QMS and some of the stuff you're working on?
Yeah. So, well, Graham and I were talking the other day about this. I'm saying, can we have a poll in the website or in the app? Because we've got an app and we've got the website, but they're identical in a way. So if we could have a poll, then we can get used to sort of, putting suggestions forwards and having votes, yes or no. So that's in there now, guys. You can use the app or the website to do that. And Graham's put a few sort of examples of how to do that. And I saw that you also did a screen share too, Graham, of how to put a proposal forward, a poll, it's just like the polls you do in Facebook. It's pretty easy, and you can choose a picture or not. It's up to you if you just want to do, you know, the question, yes or no. And that's pretty much how the QMS is going to work in the future, very basically explained. But if we can get used to going in there and putting our ideas forward of what we want our future to look like, I think it's really important that you interact and get involved and start understanding how easy this is to work, really, and how you can self-govern. And it took me a little while to get my head around what the QMS is, but if you start participating like that, you will start to get it and understand how easy this is. But go in and have a go. Go and play with it.
That section that Penny's just mentioned is actually, that will become the first stage of the QMS. So I've just got to work out a better way of making it presentable for people to enter the policy into. And then once I get that sorted out and a few things linked up, it'll start there, and that'll be the first stage of the process. So once it reaches 1,000 people, then it'll go into the news feed that we've got working there. And then that'll bring more awareness to it. And then once we see that we've got the 10,000 people, that's when the experts would become involved to actually sit down and develop the policy and test it and all that sort of thing. And the transparency side of it's also there at that stage to show everyone why it's being developed, how it's being developed, who's developing it, and what processes are involved. And then the idea from there is that it would go into the app for the final stage. So I've got to have a look at what Wayne's proposing for around how I need to adjust things around that and work on it around that. But I've got basically 3 of the stages set up and pretty much working at the moment. I just need to get that last, well, actually, there's probably 5 stages all up actually, but I've got 3 of them working at the moment. I've got 2 more that I need to complete. So we need engagement within the groups on the website. We've got a lot of discussion groups in there where people can also discuss structure, policy, processes, and that sort of thing in there. And we invite people to engage within the discussion groups within the various areas where policy needs to be developed, because obviously we've got that many different aspects that the government manage at the moment, all the different portfolios in that. We want the people's input. We want to know what you guys want and what everybody else wants, because there's 27 million people in Australia, 18 million of them can vote. We get about 0.05% of that input through the current system that we have, because we don't actually have a voice in that current system. And to be honest, we've never really had one, not a proper one. The process is there that we're meant to have one, but since these guys have stolen it away and taken it from us, it just doesn't work, and we're being lied to, and we're essentially, it's not a democracy, it's an actual farce. So what we're proposing is a direct democracy. Obviously there needs to be public service still, there needs to be people to put in place the changes and the policies that we create, and we need obviously some sort of judicial structure, educational structure, healthcare. Everything needs to be reviewed. Everything they've had their hand in needs to be pulled apart, looked at closely, and then redesigned by the people and for the people. And that's the only way to do it properly. If we do it any other way and just let people come in and tell us what to do all the time, and this is where I say to people, be the best version of yourself, lead, get out there and create, do something that you think is beneficial for Australia, whether it's coming in and getting involved in some of our groups, or whether it's just talking to people and promoting what we're doing, or even if you've got your own concepts and ideas. I mean, I encourage people to get out there and give them a go, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be one thing that wins this. It's going to be a multitude of different things coming together. If you know people and you can network well, if you know people that have got big groups within either the movement or outside it, bring them to me or to Tim or to one of the guys working with us, and we'll have a chat to them. And if there's alignment there, and if we can work with them, we'll bring them on board.
Okay, so Graham, I'm gonna interrupt you, buddy. Love your work, you know that. We need a first port of call or a decision to be made tonight. So what is it? Do we need to get people in here so that we can make more decisions? Do we need
The
a
meetings,
decision?
the meetings are one thing. That's just building awareness and letting people ask questions about it and getting the word out there. We need people on the website, and we need people to engage in the discussion groups
Okay.
we've got there.
So yeah, can we agree on that?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
What we need. Yeah.
All right. So we love everybody, right? But we need to support everybody in being able to do that, and we need to make recommendations on how people can do that as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, Penny mentioned it earlier. The number one key thing is ask people, do they trust the government? Would they? And the second question would, when they say no, which my experience is 99.98% of them do say no. When they say no, you say, would you consider an alternative direct democracy system that you can propose policy in, that you can add weight to it, watch it develop, watch it be developed, where it's totally transparent.
What's that monkey chimp survey?
Sorry?
There's a survey that you can put out to your friends.
Well,
is it chimp something?
Yeah, if people want to run surveys with people and things like that, that's fine. But
how do you want to do it, bro? Like we can help. We're here to help, right?
Well, that's what I want, mate. That's exactly what I want.
So what's the next step?
Well, the next step is whatever you make it be. I'm not going to micromanage every single person. I could end up micromanaging 9 million people by the time we get them there, and I don't have time to do that, mate. I've got my own life. Okay. I've got a website to build. But
so
what I'm saying is,
Graham.
Yep.
So Graham, can we? We've got a good group of people on here with some fantastic minds. So what's everyone's thoughts? How can we get this to the market and survey people and do what we need to do sooner than later?
Again, we've got two ways. We do it through networking and marketing, social media.
Yeah, but Graham, let's put it out to the group, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, perhaps people could pop ideas into the chat. We're sort of trying to keep the meeting flowing along a certain way. That's all, mate.
Graham, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Craig,
oh no.
You obviously have a concept in mind that would be faster than the networking concept and or the getting it out into the groups. What do you see that would be the best way to do it?
Graham, you do have a good idea of like sending out a referendum, right? But we need some funding to be able to do that. So that was a massive idea. Like the census goes out, like let's just say it, okay? Like let's just say what we want to do so people know that we've got a plan.
The problem, Penny, is if I go and tell it publicly at the moment and certain people hear about it, we don't want laws passed to stop what we're doing. So we have to be very, very careful in proceeding forward, and you don't lay your full plan out. Look, if we could unify the movement, yes, we could do a bit of marketing. We can't use the mail system because that would be, I'm led to understand, seditious, but we can walk it out to people's homes. We can give them a prospectus that is prepared, and we can also at the same time provide a form which allows them to then opt into our system and out of the other system. So it's a lot of work, and it's going to cost somewhere between $4 and $5 million, which obviously is a lot of money. And that's part of the reason why I'm looking for funding at the moment.
So Graham, I'd love to hear from Tim and Wayne. They're old cowboys from way back.
Long time, yeah.
Yeah, and let's see, Wayne. Love to hear from you, mate.
Well, the basic program that Graham's put forward, if you accept my modification to it, would not be something that you could just put it out there. They can't stop you. That's a political proposal. So under the Constitution, they couldn't block it. And I don't think they'd even attempt to. They might ridicule you. But my belief is a lot of ridicule is a good thing, because out of that comes people's ideals on what they want. And they're going to look at it and think, well, what are they criticising? is that good for us or is it bad for us? So we can turn it around just by using the media against itself. I know the media are going to attack everything we do. They're going to attack anybody who's got a different idea to their one world government crap that they want to push down our necks. I'd like to push it down theirs back again, but I'm not allowed to. My wife said. Anyway, at the end of the day, if we put it out there, once we get it in a format, people are going to sit and look at it. If we get criticism, I don't mean put out your voting apps and stuff like that. That remains the property of whoever's going to run it at the top, whether it be a lot of us or some of us or whatever. However, the rest of it, the basic program of what we want to do is not to take away from the people, it's to empower the people with the authority they've had since Federation, and it's been removed from them. We need to give that back to them and say, it's yours, get off your butts and use it to protect your kids, your grandkids, and your great-grandkids. And that's been my outlook. I've been 28 years full bore on these people, but before that in the police force, I used what I could to block legislation. I just drew a pig's butt on half the stuff come from the bosses, because in Western Australia we have that ability. You're an independent law enforcement officer employed by the state, which is the people. So we could criticise the bosses and get away with it. So I did, because I don't believe you should pull someone over unless you've got probable cause, which means see them wandering all over the road and almost hitting something. That's probable cause. Pull them over to see if they've had something to drink, get lost. They've had water to drink, you're going to book them for that next. What a lot of crap. The garbage has to stop. The proposal put by Graham, it's a good proposal. You cannot put all of it in place. You would step outside the Constitution if you had the voting purely for those who were born here. They'd have to be naturalised Australians, which it is now. And I mean naturalised as in be sworn in, the oath or affirmation, how it should be, not the stupid system we got now where you become a citizen of the Australian government, which is a nonsense. It doesn't even exist in law.
Which is a corporation based on Norfolk Island.
Yeah, well, that's it. But I mean, Norfolk Island is really a territory of Australia. So is New Guinea. They had no right to get rid of it. I mean, they chucked away with New Guinea the biggest copper deposit in the world, something that is wanted by everybody. I mean, the island of Bougainville has the world's biggest deposit of copper. It's basically a lump of copper. And that bloke there that's decided he's the king, he's sitting on trillions and trillions of dollars. That should be poured into the economy of the Commonwealth of Australia.
I agree. And Tim, I'd like to hear your opinion shortly, but Wayne, I have another question for you. So
yes,
one of the biggest qualms I have at the moment is we've got mainstream media. We've got these organisations that are pumping a narrative that we're not agreeing with. Why are we not turning up on their doors? Why are we not advocating against them to tell the truth on a day-to-day basis? Because the people, like, I'm sure my folks, my parents who live in New Zealand, like, they are listening to this daily bullshit. What can we do to what can we do to change the narrative, Wayne?
Well, we've been doing it. My wife takes her Samsung tablet with us everywhere, and whenever we see something going on with the media, we film it. And when they put their stuff on the news that comes up on Facebook and TikTok and that, we go on there and we put what actually happened there.
Yeah.
I mean, in Geraldton, you're pretty limited. If you're in the city, you would be more up to it. But there's that many people filming now with their phones. Do the same. You're not going to be able to go to the courts. The courts are on the side of the government. Well, the idiots purporting to be the government. So the best way to do it, I've found, is go on the offensive. without being violent. You can film everybody, well, except me, I've got a phone come out of Noah's Ark, and I got that for a reason. They can't track it. But anyway, at the end of the day, everybody who's got those phones, like my wife has, you can film it. And when you see a thing pop up on Channel 7, this happened today, you turn around and say, come on Facebook or TikTok or anything, whatever, and say, no, it didn't happen that way. This is how it did. Like I tried it on my property, for instance, and Channel 7 filmed it, and oh, nothing but a pack of lies, what they said. So we turned around and put it on. Next thing, we had the reporter from Channel 7 ringing up saying, can you go on there and tell everybody to stop threatening? They're threatening to kill me. I said, why don't you do the right thing? You're nothing but a liar. Back up and go back to Perth. And she did. Good riddance. Bye. We won. That is what we could do. And that's what I've been telling people every time I go on Facebook. I have a good old attack at the government, but because they're wrong. But that is a way to get back at them. Film it, put it out there, so every time they put crap, we put the truth. And I keep saying, everybody, every time you lie about me, I'm going to tell the truth about you. So people can find out. If we promote that sort of an attitude, how many people are on the road? Most people. Sometime during the day, they see an incident, they see the police misbehaving, put it out there. Embarrass them into following the law. And I agree with what you just said. We need that system, but that's the only way I can see you can do it without any retaliation from them. They can't stop us filming the truth. We are the Commonwealth. This is our country. And by the way, Tim, I liked your little statement the other day. That was really good. So good on that.
And do you know the good thing about the truth?
It sticks and people tend to believe it.
Well, you don't have to remember what you just said.
Yeah, well, that doesn't work with me. I remember every friggin' thing, and that's a nuisance as well. Don't worry, that's not a good thing all the time. But yeah, I agree with what you say. Most liars don't have a good memory.
No. So Wayne, have you been interviewed by any mainstream media or anybody recently?
He's on Facebook every day.
Oh,
just about. But I get interviewed by a lot of other people. I've got another one. I can't even remember all their names. That's nice. I got a good memory. I can't, because I get oodles of names. But yeah, I do. Every time somebody says, "Oh, will you come on my group and we'll interview you with everybody," I said, "Fine. Yeah, I got no problem with that." I use what's contained in my head to the best of my ability to bring down this corrupt system, and I'm going to do it. I said to my wife ages ago, I'll do it singly or with everybody. Hopefully everybody gets on board, because it's a little bit of a large job. However, I have lawfully seized this country, and they don't like that one little bit. I'm actually friends with one of the head selectors for the Liberal Party, and he rang me up and he said, "What the hell did you just do?" I said, "Took the country off the criminals. Why don't you go tell your mates they're criminals?" He wasn't impressed, but it was the truth. Yeah. And these people, Slade Brockman, I know quite well. He's one of the top senators for the Liberal Party. I had he gave me a half-hour meeting. 3.5 hours later, he kicked me out. He didn't like what I said. But I mean, at the end of the day, I got what the truth should be to him. Now he walks away, cowers, he won't answer the phone. It got to him. No matter what happens, as long as you put the truth, as you said, the truth doesn't go away. You remember it, because it's exactly that, the truth. And that's all I do. I mean, I did that in the Kalgoorlie court, and they allowed me to come forward to the bar table, because I was a friend of the court. I interrupted the court a few times, told the judge he was wrong, he didn't appreciate it. And the district court, you don't worry about that. And he eventually said, "Will you come to the bar table and tell me where the court's wrong?" What a stupid thing to do. I spoke for 1 hour and 40 minutes. At the end, he said, "I guess you'll be coming to my hanging." I said, "Mate, I wouldn't hang you. I'd put you on Macquarie Island with the rest of the traders. You can freeze to death." And he didn't like that much either. But then a surprising thing is, it was a 6-day trial. At the end of the trial, he asked me to go into the witness box in front of the jury and explain to them why the court was invalid. So it actually got to him. So from that point of view, I'm using the bit of ability I got to hammer these people in their own area. There's nothing to stop anybody learning the law and sitting in a court case, and when the judge said something wrong, like in the case that I'm talking about, he was trying to force the Aboriginal guy to have a lawyer. And I stood up and I said, I'm a friend of the court. He said, I didn't give you permission to talk. I said, excuse me, I'm a friend of this court. You can't tell me whether I can talk or not. What you said is bias. In fact, it's apprehended bias, because if someone walks in off the street and sees what you are doing and listen to what you said, they would know that you're biased. So what you're doing is completely wrong. Well, he went dead quiet for a couple of minutes. Then he says, obvious, of course, we've got a lawyer there. We recommend you use. And I stood up and I said, no, that is bias. If you want to be unbiased, you've got to say, use a lawyer for you to use, or you represent yourself. That's not bias. And he ended up having an adjournment for 10 minutes to calm down. And then he come back and he said, yes, I agree. There's a lawyer if you wanted, or you can do it yourself. But he didn't. We were advocates for him. So we have to have the balls to do it, and the ability. I do that many lectures every time someone wants them, because I want to teach people, use your rights. This is your court. You stand up and say, this is our court. When I went to court in 2019, the first thing I did is tell the magistrate, I'm the only one here as an officer of the Crown. I'm the only one who can constitute this court. He said, that's your opinion. No, it's not my opinion. It's the law.
Mm.
You've got to develop the ability to speak. Unfortunately, the kids are dumbed down at school. We've been dumbed down most of our lives, some of us. I don't drink tap water with fluoride and crap in it. I only drink rainwater. So my brain actually functions a little bit, sometimes too much. But at the end of the day, we should have the balls to stand there and say, do this because we said so. You can't say a woman needs to, because if they have a baby and go back and have another one, they got more balls than any bloke's got. I can tell you that. I watched all 8 of my kids being born, and I thought, bugger, it's not me.
So, Chad, Wayne, can I just ask Chad a question here?
Yep.
What would be your suggestion to accelerate the growth of the membership of the QMS?
Good question, Tim. We had a meeting early in the week, and we actually discussed that, how we can bring on more members, more interest. There's no right answer, but I have some ideas. And we all have friends and family. They're not all on board, but making having a reach out to everybody with some. And what I've been trying to do for the last 2 weeks, Tim, and Penny and Graham will be okay with me saying this, I believe, is we're trying to get stop people from who potentially are on the fence from going and getting a jab. So we're trying to put an information package together as quickly as we can, and then providing that to our friends, our family, our supporters, and getting that out as soon as possible. And hopefully that will have a positive effect.
Sure. But it regardless of whether, that's an important thing to do, but regardless of whether people are having the jab or not, we still need them in the QMS, in as much as Tanner, can you stay on mute, please? Right, thank you. And in doing that, the whole process is, yes, it's important to help people with their health, But the question is, how do we actually get them into the QMS en masse? I think you were alluding before that, just touching on Facebook and community groups isn't going to do it. I was just wondering whether you have a better idea on how to bring people in en masse.
Look, Tim, it's an extremely good question. And no, I don't have the definitive answer, but why we're all here would be a good platform for any ideas of how to do that.
I think if we all put something in the chat, and we're going to put Harrison on in a moment because he's had his hand up for a little while and he's probably got some ideas. So I've thought of a radio station. So,
Yes.
does anyone know how to do a radio station? Harrison, do you know how to do something like that?
I'm an ex-radio DJ, Penny.
Oh, there you go. Had a feeling.
That's not the quickest way. The quickest way is to raise the money. But anyway, sorry, I'll let Harrison.
Yeah, so I just have a few questions. I've reviewed the QMS proposal from the website and made an account. I'm relatively new here. Hi, everyone. I came here from Matt Lawson. Matt Lawson shared this, and that's how I found the QMS. So that's one way that works, is sharing with Telegram channels. That's always a good way to reach out. I have a few questions for Graham or whoever the software engineer is that is making the QMS. Is that you?
Well, yeah, I'm not exactly a software engineer, but
okay.
I'm doing the web development side of it. That's my concept, yeah. So
okay. In the proposal, it says a few things. The how is it carried out section says that this will be done using a quote open source bit chain software. Are you referring to blockchain software with that, or is something?
The app that we've currently got is based in blockchain. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Is that on an existing blockchain protocol, or are you making a new one for QMS?
No, it is. It's an existing blockchain protocol with a app that's been around for 2 years. The app was used elsewhere, but it actually fits a lot of the requirements of what we needed for the QMS. It didn't take off in the market they were hoping to promote it in, but it works very well for what we need it to do.
Yep.
We're trialing it at the moment. We've got it loaded on our phones, all the steering team members, and we've got a couple of test policies that we're running through it to see how they go and what it looks like and how it presents, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Which blockchain protocol does the QMS use?
To be honest, I'd have to bring the developer in on that, because
that's what I was referring to before.
Yeah. So I'd have to get. That's something. If you and I want to have a chat to me outside, I can organise a meeting with the developer if you like. Just at this stage, we're sort of trying to keep things tight until we're ready to completely roll and put all the parts together. So still in the processes of making it all fall together.
So is it going to use smart contracts on an existing blockchain to implement the voting logic, or is it going to use a sort of like bespoke transaction set within the blockchain protocol in general?
So the actual, again, that would be up to the developer. So what I've created is a concept and a process for it. And we've met with a software developer that has built the blockchain app and who's granted the Australian New Zealand rights to us for this particular purpose. Now, the QMS is primarily a conceptual way of approaching the problems that we've had with the corruption and lies that we get told through the government. So it's gone from being a concept into a website, which is now, we've also got the back end app, which is, I call that the back end, whereas the website is the front end. So most of the first 3 phases of the process will be held on the front end, which is, first of all, the proposal of policy or proposal of change. The next stage is, once we get to 1,000, then that would go up into the news feed. The next stage after that is, once we've got 10,000 people that want that particular policy, it would go off to the experts who then test and measure the policy and the process and show the processes that are determined how it affects the rest of the policies that we have, how it fits within the Constitution. And then once it's gone through there, it will be put into the blockchain voting system for referendum vote. So the people within Australia have the chance to vote for, against, or they can abstain from voting on it. It's really up to the individual.
Okay, so it does use blockchain voting for each of the proposals that gets to sort of the highest level.
Correct. Yes.
Yep.
So it's got to go through the first 3 processes so that everything's transparent and so it's raised by the people.
Yeah.
And then the final stage is the referendum based
Okay.
vote.
And like in the rollout plan, do you have a at least an idea of it?
Hey, Harrison, hey mate, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. Sorry, we don't know much about you. Can you give us a briefing?
Yeah, so I'm Harrison McLean. I'm the co-founder of WeUme, and I've been involved in the Melbourne Freedom Movement fairly extensively. So you might have heard of the Worldwide Rally for Freedom. That was something that
we've met a couple of
yeah.
times at the rallies. So yeah, I actually gave you a card.
Yeah. So sorry, Graham. We didn't know who we were talking to.
No,
That's
fine.
fine.
A lot of people here know Harrison. I do know Harrison too. So
I don't.
I've seen him around, but
Well, we do now.
I don't.
Yeah, Matt Lawson told me a little bit about this, and a few people have mentioned it. Jackie, I think, has mentioned it. Jackie Dundee. I remember at Anzac Day of this year, there were a few people talking about it in the group at the Anzac Day event. And
welcome on board, buddy.
Thank you. So last question before we hand it over to someone else. Do you have a working theory on how you're going to be able to solve this cyber attack problem of making sure that each person that gets a vote or each unique Australian citizen, how do you prevent them from voting multiple times or having the, how do you essentially secure the voting mechanism when it's on chain?
All right, so it's basically the system will do an eye or fingerprint scan. So it's I've just the name for it's eluding me at the moment.
Biometrics.
Biometrics. That's right.
Yep.
So use it can either take a fingerprint or an eye print, and it will use that to identify the person. It only allows 1 vote per policy, and that's how people would obviously identify themselves to the system, that's how they're coming in. So we've looked at a lot of different ways of doing it, and that because it's held in the blockchain and the privacy will be given back to the individual people. Basically what you'd do is you'd open your phone as you normally do. You've got a fingerprint scanner on it already, and you've got a camera on it already. Mm-hmm. So the fingerprint, I think, would be enough, but we have the option to put in an eye scan as well, so that we can actually do the iris print as well.
Okay, so a user would sign up, have some sort of checking of their fingerprint or iris scan, get put into a central repository of all the valid voting accounts and voting addresses. Do they get public and private keys per account for voting on chain?
They've got, I think it's just a private key that they get. It's not so much public. So everyone owns their own access to the app and to the device. The idea is we want to protect people's privacy. We don't want people marketing to them and, trying to force them down certain avenues or anything like that. And everyone has a right to their voice and their say, but they also have a right to be able to protect themselves and remain private within it as well.
Okay, so you're going to be using sort of like encryption of the account details of the person before they vote. And then does the vote go on an open public blockchain, or is there going to be another intermediary step to anonymize it more?
The vote actually is counted as the votes go in. They show both within the app, and we're working out a way that we can get it to report back onto the website. So it will show on the actual policy in the news feed how many votes it's at any given particular time. So, and which is for, against, and obviously you wouldn't count abstaining, but you'd have for and against in there.
So last question, is each vote going to be recorded on chain in an open public transaction, or is it going to be in an immutable blockchain basis, or is the vote going to be ephemeral?
Look, it would be an immutable blockchain process.
Yep.
So everything stays within the blockchain. It stays locked in there. We want to protect people's privacy. We want to make sure that everyone, you can have your say, you can vote whichever. Now, demographics will still come out. When the experts are looking at things, demographics would be there for them to see. And there would also be some demographics come out for the public service at the end and implementation. That's also to keep checks and balances in place with regard to the system and make sure it's all above board. We've got a bit of an issue in that what we've done is, Wayne touched on something earlier on, we've had to change my original document where I said that you needed to be, and what that actually referred to was born of the country, because I could see that if we could make this work in one currently Western democratic society, the others would probably want it, and it would probably go around the world pretty quickly, not as a global system, as a country-based membership. Now, the concept, in order to protect it from certain communist countries, I suggested that the people be born of the land that they were using it in. However, we've had some discussion around that, and it's now those eligible to vote, which fits in with what Wayne was saying earlier on about immigration and immigration.
Yeah.
So that's where it's been modified a little bit to work with that. But my original thought was that if you, and I mean, not picking on any particular nationality, every nationality is welcome in this country. I don't have any issue around any of that. But there is a high communist population in this country of one particular nation, and they have hostages back in their home country that could be used to force a vote down a particular line, which was why I originally designed that in.
Graham, there's also a high population from other countries that are residents here who are not citizens, who need to be factored in, who have the full support of what we're doing as well. And I'm one of those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about making sure that what we have has integrity, is safe to use, and can't be manipulated by other countries that may not be aligned with the concept of democracy and a direct democracy especially. So you don't want the New World Order getting hold of something like this and applying pressure through it. So, yeah. Sorry,
one thing for Chad, if I might intervene. Chad, you are part of this country under Clause 6 of the Constitution until New Zealand and Australia split, whatever. But if we go back under the Constitution, you go back there, you've got a seat of Parliament in New South Wales, which you're part of. So we can work that part out. You are not a blow-in. You don't even need a frigging passport to travel from across the bog to here.
Yeah, no, pretty much don't, Wade. And thanks for your support. I've been here for pretty close to half my life.
Well, a lot of my friends are in the same boat. They're Kiwis, but they're Australians. Let's face it, we are Australians. We're part of the Commonwealth. We are the Commonwealth of Australia. That's
Wayne, we are. Unfortunately, I have to say to you that I still support the All Blacks. I'm sorry.
I don't even worry about it.
Hey, Graham.
I support whatever car I'm building, so you can keep your rest of your thought.
Graham, is it possible that I'm interested to hear what Matt might have to say?
Yeah, I was about to say we need to get Matt in. I'd love to hear from Matt. Hi, Matt. How are you? You ready to go?
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
Yeah, good.
Sorry, I'm just scoffing a piece of pizza now.
Hey, bro.
Been feeling a bit off for the last couple of weeks, and I've got my appetite back, so I'm eating. Firstly, thanks to you guys for everything you've already said about what's happening with QMS. I was just going to vouch for Harrison as well. Harrison is a Bitcoin expert, so crypto and all that kind of stuff. So he really understands blockchain. So I thought he'd be a great one to have on to ask some really great questions. So I can vouch for Harrison as being a great person who's out there asking questions all the time.
Thanks,
when it comes to QMS, I guess for the people who have come on from my page, QMS, the idea of it, if I always simplify everything, I always try to talk about things like I'm teaching my 5-year-old son, and he's not 5 now, but whether it comes to photography or whatever else, with QMS, I think the beauty of it is that as a country, not just in Australia, but around the world, the people within their constitutions, the people have the power, but each country slowly has re-educated their citizens to think they have no power and they are slaves of the system. The idea of what QMS is looking to do is not to overthrow the government as such, but to look at the system and see how rotten it is. The two-party preferred system where you've got, 2 wings of the one bird. And while you do vote people into Parliament, once they're in, they're in. And for the next, 4 years or whatever it is at the moment, they chop and change their party to do whatever it is they want to do. And with a system where you're referendum based and you give the power back to the people, the beauty of something like that is that we all get a say. And from my thought process, any country where the people have the power and the people have the say of what happens in that country, you're going to have a country that runs in a better way. There's more opportunity for prosperity. There's more opportunity for peace. There's more opportunity for the freedoms that we all deserve, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of body autonomy, and all these different things. The other thing I want people to keep in mind is whenever you're looking to do something like this, there's always a teething point. So you put together a system, in my mind, and the beauty of something like QMS is because it's referendum based, once you start it, you run referendums to fine tune it. So if you put something in place and it's not quite working or it's not quite right, if enough people put their hands up and say, I'd like to change this, when they all put their hands up together, you then bring that out onto the platform and throw it out into a referendum to get people to make the choices. So while there's a lot of teething at the start to get it right, and Wayne Glue is a champion who understands the Constitution better than anyone else, while there's teething at the start, if you get it right, or if you don't quite get it right, at least you're doing something to say, here's an alternative choice that we can run with. And for the ones who are new to this, I'm just going to really simplify it, and it's not going to be a perfect example, but let's say, as an example, 10,000 people all say that we should not have people working on a Sunday. So that goes out into a referendum. I'd love to never have to touch anything or do any work on a Sunday, but not even homework, not even cleaning dishes. But no, let's say they say no work on a Sunday, and it goes out and 10,000 people all agree and put their hands up, and then it goes to a referendum to say, should we have a 6-day week or whatever it is. Once the voting goes through the system and the majority of people say this is the way we do it, the people have spoken and it goes out there, and that becomes, I guess, a term of reference rather than a political movement or a policy. It's a term of reference because we don't want to talk politics. This isn't a new political system. This is just a new system for the people, by the people. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone as well. And there's so many areas where it can work. People have asked already, will we still run councils? Well, I think there's a place for councils, but the amount of money that's thrown into councils right now, and the over policing, from fines for parking your car for an extra 5 minutes to fines for your dog pooping in the park to all these different things. We should have councils that work for the community so that we're broadening our horizons and having a better place to live. The only reason we suffer in this world, really, apart from, mental health issues and things like that, which we should be able to do in a better way as well with the QMS, the real reason we suffer is because we're chained down. We're chained down by governments that don't want our best. They don't have our best interests at hand. So when you're looking at taxing, when you're looking at when you go and get a mortgage for a house, the taxes that you're paying are astronomical. The fact that the bank, holds your title and all these things that are happening right now is part of this system that we're stuck in. And there is a better way. And with Wayne and the other brains in the background, hopefully we can make change with a system like QMS. The last thing I was going to say is when it comes to multiplying this out there, I have platforms I can multiply, through the people I know probably have, upwards of 1 million followers. Once you multiply it out through people who follow me and all the networks we have, Harrison has networks. There's lots of people with different networks for getting this out there. For me, the only thing I'm waiting on is for us to get this a little bit more fine-tuned. But I already have said, let's get people in here. Let's bring people along. Once you start getting this out, 5 people talking to 5 people, talking to 5 people, it will grow exponentially very quickly. I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And it's like anything, it's not the first person. So Graham Turner's not the one who people consider as a revolutionist. One person can be out there standing with a flag. and jumping up and down, and everyone will call them crazy. It's the second person that's the revolutionist, the second one that jumps on board and says, I'll walk with you. And then the third person and the fourth person. So it's up to the rest of us to be brave, to see something that we think can work and to jump on board and do it as well.
Yeah, Matt, I think we're here for all the same reasons, right?
Yeah, I think so. No, thank you, Matt. I wish you could speak instead of me. Sometimes you're so eloquent in the way you put it across and you say it so well. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it.
We're all, I believe we're all passionate about this cause. I really do. And I love your analogy. There was a YouTube video, and I'm sure some of you have seen it, where there was a guy a little bit off his head dancing on a hill to a rave party, and then everybody just went and grouped with him, and they were all dancing together. That's what we're doing. But we're doing it consciously, we're doing it professionally, and we're standing up for our rights. I'm inspired by all of you, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Tim, but Wayne and Matt, I really appreciate what your comments are. Tim, have you got something more to say? Because I really wanted to ask you, I wanted to ask you a question, because, and everyone can chime in, but what we're not doing, fundamentally, right? These criminals who are mainstream media and politicians, we can go and protest. I live in Darling Harbour. We can go and protest in the city as much as we like. But if we turn up at these mainstream media addresses, if we turn up at their homes, outside, on the footpath, if we turn up in all these places and make a difference, do you think that would have a greater effect, or is there another avenue? Is there
Chad, look, I agree that there is no doubt the media is the driving force that the government is using, as they always have, to drive their agenda, and nothing has changed ever since there's been an organised media. However, because of technology today, it's more severe, and people sit at home and they watch mainstream media, and all they see is doom, gloom, tests, cases, and they think cases are disease. They've got no idea what the reality actually is. So to go out and protest the media, let me give you a really pertinent explanation. Let me think.
Please, this is what we want. This is what we want, Tim.
The Treasurer, Peter Costello, the ex-Treasurer.
Yeah.
Peter Costello was the Treasurer of Australia when they created the Future Fund. The billions of dollars they stole from the Australian people and put in the Future Fund, right? Now, Peter Costello now is the chairman at Channel 9. Now, Channel 9, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed. I don't watch a lot of television. I like NCIS. I can almost repeat them verbatim. I like Gibbs. I like his personality. But anyway, Channel 9 do a lot of advertising for get your shot. It's our last shot. You've got to have the jab. They are all over it like a rash, right? However, Peter Costello, being the chairman, and understanding where the Australian government has invested a lot of money, Peter Costello had Channel 9 invest $1.5 billion into pharmaceutical stocks, right, at near the middle of the year in 2019. Now, Channel 9 are not advertising, and Scotty Cam and Grant Denyer and all these guys are not advertising get your shot out of concern for your good health. They could not give a rat's rear end about your good health.
They couldn't give a fuck. Let's say it.
It is all about the bottom line of the financial institution called Channel 9, right? Therefore, what we must understand is if we think standing out front of Channel 9 or Channel 7 or the ABC or anybody is going to change their mind. These people, we have to understand, we are all here because we are, in my opinion, the way I view the people on these type of calls, you are all what I would call sentient beings. You have a conscience. You are alive. You are flesh and blood. You are sentient, right? The people that we are wanting to influence have no soul. And so we think by trying to shame them into changing their viewpoint and telling the truth would have an impact on them personally. It might hit one or two, but the language that they understand is dollars. They understand power, they understand ego, and they understand ratings, which again is dollars. So, yes, we could go to Channel 7 and Channel 9 and hold up placards, and we could go in there and try and give them the truth, right? We could give them documents of truth. However, I've been thinking about this. And I would say, and this is just a conversation, this is not legal advice to anybody, and nor am I suggesting anybody should go out and act upon this because you don't have the knowledge nor the skill base to do it. However, if somebody has done you a damage or has caused harm to your inalienable right, meaning your God-given right, which is every aspect of freedom, including joy, peace, and happiness. And if somebody has injured, stolen, or destroyed any of that, you have the lawful right to seek remedy. Now, if anybody on this call thinks going into a court of law is going to get you justice, then may I suggest you stop, drinking the Kool-Aid, because it's never going to happen, Although I could tell you a story about how we shut a magistrate down in the city court in Adelaide this week. And that was beautiful. But anyway, you're not going to get justice. But there is a process called a commercial lien.
Yep.
Right? Now, when you put a commercial lien on something, on somebody for the damage they have caused you, the barristers can't get involved, the judge can't get involved, the courts have no say. And you could put a lien on a particular communication company or those working within the communication companies. And the lien cannot be lifted until the lien is satisfied. And so it's a thought process that I'm going through as to perhaps to put a lien on a communications company so as that they can't transmit. If they can't transmit, they can't earn. If they can't earn, they go broke. You would actually take control of their transmission license. And it's just a thought, but it's something that I've been tossing around, because there's no way to get to these people through conscience, through common sense, through what is known as the law, which we all know is legal bullshit. But it's a process that I'm keen to explore, put it that way. So, but I agree, if we shut the media down, the government has lost its voice. And if the government has no voice, then it can't get its message out. And that would be the same for newspapers, right? Wayne, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, Wayne's
sorry,
hang
Wayne
on,
as
Chad.
well.
Wayne was going to answer Tim there. Just let
Yep.
him go, please, mate.
Okay.
Sorry, Chad. I've used the Uniform Commercial Code, which is where your liens come from.
Yep.
And it's UCC 9609, which is a common law right to bring those charges. I've actually got one on the idiots tried to steal my patents I've got one on the state government of Western Australia for $999 trillion. And they can't take it off, but they won't answer it. But that doesn't matter. I sent them a 21-day statutory demand for the money. So the people of Western Australia, if I could get them to get off their butt, could actually bankrupt this state and throw the parliament out. And exactly what you said, Tim, that is, you have the power under the Uniform Commercial Code. And if you want a copy, you go in any university in America and you can download it. It's about 200 pages, and it's well worth reading.
Well, what my thought was, Wayne, is that we could get summary judgment done in the US. Once you go through the proper process, any court in the US would give summary judgment. That being the case, if we could do that, the sheriff would then go to Channel 7, Channel 9, whoever, slap a sticker on the door, and you've taken possession of the asset until the lien is paid.
Yep, got that covered too. I went into the US Department of Justice under 1938 registration of foreign agents. That's where I found the 18 companies that own everything in this country. And you can actually put in a formal complaint there, which I have done. And I'm waiting for them to do it. But Mr. Biden doesn't particularly like us doing it. But everyone in this country, every company that has an ABN and is purporting to belong to the government or has purchased assets of this country is registered in America in the US Department of Justice under that particular act, which is a Foreign Agents Act of 1938.
Yeah.
Now, if you like to look that up, I've actually printed it out myself because I'm playing with it and looking at what you're talking about, Tim. I have been for a while. And I've actually got a few commercial liens filed on government agencies and that. And I never thought about putting it on the radio stations, but now you've tickled my fancy. I think I might do that.
Well, one of the things I did in the letters I've been doing lately for people who their company is saying they've got to be vaccinated under this mandate rubbish is going through, I've got all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And at the bottom of it, I've just simply put in there that the undersigned, if the undersigned is unable to perform his duties due to your mandate, the undersigned has the right for legal recompense, and that could include, but not limited to, a commercial lien on the company's assets, accounts, and also a commercial lien on the directors and the directors of the board on their personal property also. So please be well advised before proceeding. And we're looking this week, we're going to see whether that sort of scares the tripe out of a few of them or not. So Chad, that's the process I see in as far as the media is concerned. I understand that not very few people on this call would even think down those diverted lines. It's just
I'm weird.
I'm gonna throw a spanner in the work, right, guys?
Yep.
And you can think I'm crazy, but this is crazy time in our lives, right?
You're a Kiwi, let's face it.
So Peckamaroo, right?
Peckamaroo. Yep.
Peckamaroo. Who owns that?
There's two people that own
it. Did
Peckamaroo.
Originally belong to, it belonged to Dick Yardley for a while, and it was deregistered. And I did look into it. Look, Peckamaroo, no matter what they claim, they don't own it. As of the 7th of January 2019, you own it. It's lawfully seized under Magna Carta. Now,
okay, every 3 months, right, Wayne? Every 3 months, because they just keep rotating the registration. So it's just it's not legal. It's not under a constitutional law. People need to understand that, right?
Yep, I understand it.
Yeah,
but I also understand. Getting back to Tim for a minute, and when you do these commercial liens, you do them as a commercial lien in tort. because it's common law, you need the tort factor. In other words, they've wronged you, which all
Yes.
the radio stations have, all the governments have, and everything else. That's why I've been putting it together that way. When you go in the US Department of Justice and look up that act, the Foreign Agents Act, you'll find there's 4 particular forms that any person in this country registered under that act, which is every single government agency and every government, purported government, are registered there as a foreign agent government, and you can check that up. There's 4 forms they must fill out now and give to you. Have you ever seen any forms? No, I haven't. I've got a copy of the forms. But what I'll try to do, amongst some other things, I'll actually email you, Graham, a copy of a commercial lien and tort I filed as against the idiots who tried to steal all my patents. I had 357 patents, and they tried to steal them because they're bird brains.
And Wayne, I do apologise, buddy.
Yep.
I would love to have further conversations with you and Tim, because I think we're like-minded, but we're getting away from the purpose of tonight, which is the QMS.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
Yeah.
I'll get the copy of that document to Graham, and you can have a look at it, because it lays out the commercial lien and it's in tort.
Yeah.
And I'll just send it to you. I'll blot out the name of the company because I get a little upset, but they have I filed the 21-day statutory demand. It's simple to do, and once you've done it, you can send them bankrupt if you want.
Perfect.
I just have left it so they're making them squirm because they don't want their money.
Obviously, we're all passionate about this.
Yeah, no, I get
so
that.
Graham, back to you, and I'm so sorry, buddy. We've hijacked.
No,
That's okay. I'll unhijack it. Look, I've got to go in a minute anyway because I've got something I can't get out of as usual. I've stayed here as long as I can. It's 6:25 here. Look, I got to get going, but thanks to everybody. I'll get those papers to you, Graham.
Thank you,
Tim and Chad, if you want to talk.
Absolutely.
I mean, my number's all over the Facebook too, and if you want to do a video, we can do that as well.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Penny, for your contribution. Thanks, all of you.
Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate it, mate, as always. I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
Not a problem. See ya.
Cheers. Bye.
See you, bro.
Bye.
So we run a lot over time for what we were looking at doing, but if anyone's got any questions, if they'd like to use the reaction and pop their hand up, obviously, if you want to ask Tim, myself, or anyone in particular, ask directly. If you want to hear multiple answers from any of us, let us know. But if you want to pop your hand up, and we'll start bringing people in with the questions now, and maybe it looks like we're going to run over a little bit of time, but we'll give maybe 15-20 minutes to question time for people. So I'll ask everyone who's not asking the question to stay on mute, just to give that person a chance to speak, and then we'll answer for you. So if you want to put your hands up now, if anyone's got any questions at all.
I can't see any questions.
That either means we did the job really well, or we confused the hell out of everyone. I'm not quite sure which. But look, we will be.
Oh, can I let you guys know something quickly?
Yeah, sure, Matt.
That Peckamaroo. Now, I know for a fact, people that I was working with last year from the common law groups, they saw that the businesses were not registered, so they grabbed them and registered them themselves and called it Peckamaroo. So it's not actually a real entity. It's just been done because they wanted to own the names. So it was done by a group of common law people. So I know that for sure 100%. I haven't put it out there everywhere because I'm just like, it blew up as a big thing and everyone started sharing it. And I was like, nah, it's not something for me to put my hand up about, but I knew what had happened because I knew the people. So
Matt, something, and this goes like to the nth degree, it's pretty crazy. Someone suggested that Donald Trump owns that company.
Yeah, no, as far as I know, all I know is that I knew the person who originally started picking up the business names. I was in the group with them when they were doing it, a group called United Collective, and they found 5 or 6 of them and they just grabbed them. I don't know if the word Peckamaroo's got something to do with Donald Trump, or it could, the actual word could be something to do with Q and all that kind of stuff. They might have even done it ironically and just put them under there. So I know for a fact it was just a group of common law people that just saw they were up for grabs and they grabbed them, and they actually thought they were actually going to try and sell them back to the government, but now they're just sitting on it. And whoever found it did well to like look it up and find it there. But yeah, that's what I know for sure.
So with your experience and your intelligence, right? And I would ask you this. So we are in a world of divide, obviously, at the moment. However, if, and this is if, these companies have been registered and we are under the rule of these companies, they have no right over us. This is not the sovereign nation that we live in.
Yeah, well, I don't want it to be Americanized. I don't want it to be globalized either. So even if Trump is thinking that we're the 53rd state of America,
it doesn't matter, Graham. It doesn't matter, Graham.
Country. It does
matter. I agree.
It goes on the will of the people of the country. It's what, and this is what the tool's about. That's what the QMS is about, is giving the will of the people a voice.
I agree.
So bringing it together. So I don't want foreign entities coming here and telling us what to do. I don't want...
but I think the thing here is, Graham, is we need to find out exactly what's going on, right?
Chad, please, mate, just let me finish, right? It's frustrating when somebody's constantly talking over you when you're trying to explain something. We do not want foreign countries or foreign companies or any company owning this country. We want it to go back to the people under the will of the people, right? We can do that constitutionally, lawfully and peacefully using a system like the QMS. We need to get the numbers to do it. We need to get the people on board to do it, right? Now, we've got a couple of ways, as I mentioned before. If I was to find $5 million or win Tats Lotto tomorrow, 5 weeks later, assuming the referendum goes our way, we'd have this country back. Now, in the event that we have to bring the numbers on, the quickest way to do that is everybody go tell 5 people, they tell 5 people, they tell 5 people, and in 10 days we'd have the country back, right? Because we could then run the referendum on our platform. So focusing on all of the other areas that people focus on tends, from my perspective, if you really want to get out from under it, we all pull together in one direction, right? And that's the way we do it. And that's why I've been trying to get in front of influencers and people within the movement, get people together and talking and unifying people as much as possible. So the only way we will ever win this country back is in unity and as a group, as a people that say no, stand up and say no, stand our ground, stand the line, as they say, you know, hold the line, as they say. It's about, but not in a violent way, not in a threatening or intimidating way. We just take our will away from them and put it into something like the QMS, into a direct democracy system, and they don't control us anymore. We do. We control them. And that's what it's all about. So,
and I think, Graham, sorry to interrupt. I think that the beauty of the group and the beauty of the people that we've had come onto these chats. So I can see Hagi's here, who's been involved in this movement throughout, and he's been trying to pull people together in the background. There's a lot of us that have done the groundwork to try and bring groups together. We know, Huggy would know this, Harrison knows this. A lot of people know that there's a lot of egos, and it's very hard to say, here's a group, let's all work together, because there's so many different interest points, I would say, or there's so many different ideas. Now, the beauty of going down a path of something like QMS is to have, what would you say, great brains, or to have, you don't even have to have a great brain, but to have someone who's got common sense, critical thinking. We have so many people now within this movement, which I hate to call it, but within this movement, which is really just people who want freedoms. Mm-hmm. There's so many great thought processes out there, and there's so many critical thinkers that all we really need to now do is get out with a common goal, common wording, which is, do you trust your current government? Which 99% of people are going to say, I do not trust them. You know, you can bring up the fact that Scott Morrison's hiding sexual abusers. You can bring up the fact that there's corruption within the Daniel Andrews government. There's corruption within the New South Wales government. Within your conversations, we need to do this, but we really, in my mindset as well, Penny knows this, we need to start getting together. I know it sounds dumb, but memes or memes, whatever you call them, because that's people look at them and they get it. As soon as you put it out there in a really simplified way, people see it, they understand it. So we need to get a little bit smarter and start pushing these things out there. Once they start going, this momentum will build and it won't stop. So we're not far away from getting this to the point where it needs to get to. It's really about, you know, multiplying this out. So next Saturday, if we do another one of these Q&As, a couple of days before, we word everyone up and start sharing it into groups and get, you know, 500 on here. And then we just continue to build it. But, you know, any of you guys who are on here now, you're like the ones who joined that first dancer on the hill who was dancing like a crazy man. The first ones joining on and just saying, look, this looks like an idea. I'm going to give it a go. You guys are all very brave to be here and, you know, having a listen. And whether you agree with everything or not, it doesn't really matter. What you're here for is because you're seeing a system that's broken, whether you've got family members, children, grandparents, you know, in Australia that was better than this in the past. And over the last 30, 40, 50 years, we've been submissive, we've been brainwashed, we've been pushed into a corner. And maybe it took, you know, COVID for us all to wake up and say, wait, whoa. I knew in Australia that was a much better place than this, where, you know, as silly a thing as going out the front into your courtyard and playing cricket or footy. And now you sit there and go, I can't trust this person. I can't trust that. Am I going to get arrested for playing on the road? Like, it's so crazy now, the rules and regulations that are in place compared to what we used to have. So, you know, my main thing I just want to say to everyone is thanks for jumping on and listening and having a look. Any ideas you have, shoot them through to Graham and Penny, because these guys are really open to ideas. As much as you want to keep something quite structured and streamlined, at the moment, ideas are going to help as well. And if you've got a platform, or if you've got people that you speak to, or you work in a corporate sector and you want to have conversations and start getting this out there to some big wigs, go ahead and do it. I mean, there's nothing unlawful about what these guys are looking to do. What they're actually trying to do is say, this is the system that everyone's stuck in around the world. Here's another option and what we can do to make a better system.
Matt, that is excellent. And there's a couple of words that keep popping up. Everybody's involved in different groups. We're all in different groups, right? Now, each group is trying to put out a particular type of bushfire or a scrub fire or whatever. The whole idea is, as you said, Matt, and as we've always said, we've got to bring people together. If they think this is just another group, they've had enough groups. They're grouped out to the max, right? I think what we need to be putting out there is that this is a place where no matter what group, what focus your organization has, this is a system with a set of tools that will help you get what it is you're looking for out of your group.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? This is a system with a set of tools. This is not another group. We don't want to be another group.
No, this is a rally point for people. This is where we bring everyone to, where we all gather and collect.
Yeah, this is the rallying point. This is the place where we come so as that each group can move forward to bring their grievance forward and to get it settled.
Yeah, and what that actually does, Tim, because you're empowering the groups to say this system can work for you. So someone like Harrison, who's with the Melbourne Freedom Movement or whatever else, can bring all his people on. And if they've got a grievance with what's going on in Australia, they can put it forwards. And if enough people jump on board with that, they actually have power to get it to happen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The second thing I want to point out is this, that there is not a government, a law, a judge, a court, a police officer, a military officer that has the ability or the lawful right to take from you any of your God-given rights and freedoms. The only way they can have control over that is if you choose to surrender those particular freedoms and rights.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Like you
Yeah, so I agree. And all you have to do is consent. If you don't, you have every right in fucking hell not to do so. So I'm sorry for swearing.
So Harrison, did you
Yep.
get his hand up again? So I've got some ideas as well. Like if you do interviews or radio, what we can do is we can bring some other leaders of these other groups on our platform and do like interviews. And that's how we're all going to join together, right?
Yep.
Because they all want to be a superstar. So let's bring them on. Let's them be a little superstar for a minute, but we'll introduce our idea while they're being interviewed.
Yeah, Penny.
That could be where the work.
Just let Harrison speak, Chad. Thanks.
Yeah, what that was, that's definitely a good point. I was sort of going to be agreeing with what Matt was saying before. One of the best ways you can get an idea like this to sort of spread into popularity is to make graphics for it, and then to create a Telegram channel and share it widely across Telegram and existing social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, etc. And then have them link to a Telegram channel. Does QMS have its own Telegram channel?
Yes.
Penny operates one for us. Yes. Yeah.
Very good. Can someone link me to that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because we'll give it a push. Hey, sorry to interrupt for 1 second. I got to go. See you guys soon.
See you,
Thanks,
Matt.
Matt. Love you heaps, mate. See you soon. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
The other thing that you can do is create a discussion group that's linked to the channel, so that everyone that's subscribed to the channel can talk in that discussion group, and that's where the meeting information can be put, so people can go into there. Another thing, very good. Another thing that I'd recommend is for the blockchain component of this. Have you written a white paper that describes how the blockchain voting protocol will work?
In the process of trying to do that at the moment. To be honest, mate, I'm struggling a little bit. I've got that many documents and that much I'm working on all at once.
Okay.
But I would be interested in having a chat and getting any advice you could give me and assistance that you could give me with that, to be quite honest, mate, because
okay.
It's a lot of work. And, you know, like, as I say, we want this to be a system of forum by the people, and we need the people to engage really and to step up and help us with a lot of the areas of development that need to happen. So I'm doing the best I can. Penny's working her guts out. Tim's, you know, Michelle, those guys are absolutely flat out. I know he's just started working with us the last week or so. And I know he's got a lot of his own bits and pieces he wants to bring into it. We've got Ross who's involved as well, and Lance and a couple of other people, but it's mainly the four of us that seem to be. Magic's been fantastic too. She's very helpful with a lot of things, but we're trying to get groups started at the moment, start to redesign the structure for systems in various areas like health, education, law, judiciary, etc., etc. Those sorts of talks are great, and we're trying to funnel people into there. We've got common law people becoming involved with us along the way as well. And I actually had a bit of a chat to Mike Holt yesterday, and there's a lot of alignment in what we're doing there. So yeah, we're sort of, I mean, it's an organic process. The thing's growing as it needs to grow. But of course, there's still a lot to be done, and we really do need the talent of the people out there and the minds that can provide the input. We're not the be all and end all. We're just average people, human beings that are doing our best to free ourselves in our country from what we see. And I mean, look, Tim and Wayne and, you know, several guys here, even Matt and Penny, you guys have been out there in the public doing this for a very long time. I'm new to the public eye, so I'm learning to cope with a bit of that at the moment. And I mean, a small amount of, you know, I guess fame that I hold, to be honest, I'm not very good with it, mate. I sort of get a bit embarrassed dealing with it, but it's very humbling to see what I suggested going out there and becoming real. And I'm very lucky to have the support of the people I've had. But yeah, I do think that from a peaceful, lawful way, that at the moment they can't stop. This is honestly, I think this is our best option. Their protests are falling on deaf ears. Our legal cases are falling on deaf ears. We're trying to fight a corrupt system within a corrupt system. And to me, that just doesn't work. You create a new system, you set it up, you make it work, and then you step out of that into the new is the best way. You don't keep trying to fix an old 486 computer. You go out and buy the latest, whatever it is, i10 or whatever it is now, one from the shop, and you start with that. That way you've got the best vehicle for what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, I think you'd mean like an i9 processor. Is that what you're talking about with the computers
yeah,
there?
mate, yeah, as I say,
Yeah. That's fine. So to summarize the group of the bundle of my suggestions would be number one, Telegram channel and link discussion group. If that's already done, fair enough. On that Telegram channel and group would be a graphic that describes in a few sort of short bullet points, what is QMS, how's it going to work? And that I think you should probably a bit more prominently use the phrase direct democracy. That one kind of works quite well. So it's like a system for direct democracy that uses blockchain voting to enable the creation of a new kind of consensus mechanism for Australia to govern, something like that. Then share that into a Telegram channel and then share that all over the Telegram ecosystem. Then probably include some sort of a link to maybe like a short one-page document that describes how the technology would work. And then have that be sort of like the lead into signing people up to the website.
Yep.
Have you had a look at the website, Harrison?
Yeah, I've joined the forum thing. So yeah.
Yeah, if you jump back onto the homepage and sort of do a bit of looking around in some of the different links that we've got on there in the menu, there's a lot that's still under development. But yeah, if you and I could catch up at some stage soon, mate, you've got a lot of great ideas. I'd love to pick your brain if that's okay, and get some help.
Yeah.
With this.
The one thing I mainly want to do would be to talk to whoever the technical person is, and then talk about how the actual blockchain voting itself would work, because that seems to be the crux of where you want to go with this.
Yeah.
And that requires a fair bit of technological elaboration on how that would work and how you would solve the problems that have been open problems in blockchain voting, like cyber attacks, like the security issues, how you create a database of all of the valid voters, keep that database private and ensure that there's key pairs that can be used to publicly vote, and how you match the key pairs to the identities without crossing too many wires. So yeah, so I guess you're not the technical person. Who would you say the technical person is?
Look, there's no technical person directly within the group here in Australia.
We're
an American company, but I can organise to sit you in on a meeting with the company. You and I we'll have a bit of a chat after the meeting, and I'll run through a few things with you there and explain what we're doing a little bit more in depth. We're trying to make sure that this gets forward and gets out there without any more major issues with it, or it getting dragged off in the wrong direction, because it's very important that it arrives in the way it's intended, and that is that it stays clean for the people of Australia and maintains its integrity. So there's no point voting in something that we don't trust, or using a system we don't trust.
Would you be wanting to make the code base open source for all of the voting system?
I do want to make it open source, and I do want to give it to the rest of the world once we have it working here, so that people can see that things aren't being manipulated, and so that people can obviously share around the world if other countries wanted to use the same sort of system once we got it in and operational in our own country. We've got interest in New Zealand with it as well, which is why we've also got the rights to the app in New Zealand. And we're talking to people in the UK and America who are quite keen on it too. So there's a lot of, in fact, if you look on the map on the website, we've had interest from practically every country around the world. So it's been quite interesting, the amount of people that have come in.
And when were you thinking about using like thumbprint or something?
Yeah, so basically using the thumbprint or an iris scanner is the best way to maintain that the person is who they say they are. You don't want people making fake accounts and voting on things. You don't want things manipulated. So you've got to have a method that identifies people directly, and the biometrics is the best way to identify someone directly. Now, some people get a bit nervous about biometrics because they think that it's being kept. If this is stored in a blockchain, it's your biometric directly assigned to your. I'm not sure what the process would be for getting that biometric. I assume you probably need to go into a public office and present identification and prove who you are, and then boom, fingerprint, eye scan, whatever it is, and then that will get uploaded as it was set up on the app. But I don't know yet. That's things that I'm hoping people who know more about those systems and processes can come to the fore with and help.
We do it on our phones all the time, don't we?
On the phones, those are more so to access the secure enclave of the phone. So the phone device keeps the record of the thumbprint on there. And then once it detects it, it matches the previous thumbprint. Then it lets you open it up. But that doesn't work the same way in a voting system, because you've got to basically validate that the biometric is legitimate and it belongs to a person who is a valid voter. In order to establish that voting database of people, you'll need to have an onboarding process that validates the voters as they join, and then assign them some sort of public key to vote with, where that public key is not linked to their biometric data, so their biometric data doesn't go on chain. Otherwise, people can. You'll also need a way of like signing it with some private keys to make sure that it's that person signing the transaction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can nut all that out. As I say, the guys working on the software have done a pretty good job of it so far, but I'm happy to involve you in that, Harrison. I think, as I say, I know you've been around for a while, and I know you've been fighting a good fight yourself, mate.
Yep.
So let's catch up soon and have a bit of a chat about that, because as I say, this is a concept I created. It's not, I don't know everything about everything. So I'm just trying to pull all the pieces together to make it work as best I can. But obviously there's areas where we need expertise in, and you'd be able to help me a lot with the security of the system and making sure that it's all going to be safe for people and that they maintain their privacy and right to privacy as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll chat a bit more after this, and I'll let everyone else have a jump on.
Appreciate it, mate. If anyone else has got any questions, we'll take a few more. If you want to pop your hand up, and we'll bring you in.
I know we've got Adam on here somewhere. Adam, are you here? Do you want to talk at all? Down the bottom here.
Oh, hey, Penny. How are you? How are everyone?
G'day, Adam. How are you, mate?
Mate, good. I'll just introduce myself. I've known Penny for a long time, and I'm really keen to get on board with you, Graham, and do what I can to help spread the word. Yeah, I really like what Harrison's saying. It's been amazing, I think, but that technical brain, I think that's definitely something that's been missing, which can really really project us forward in leaps and bounds. What Tim's saying is amazing. Like, I think it's just getting to that critical mass of people and getting the word out. Once we get critical mass, but it's still a kind of grassroots movement until we can, I guess, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Articulate is to get systems in place and get it looking and as smooth and as slick as possible, that people want to jump on board when they have a look at it first up.
Absolutely.
Streamline everything.
Yeah. Do you have a prototype that people can like UX test, or are you not quite up to that yet?
Within about a week, I'm hoping to release the blockchain prototype for people. I'm just working on some front end stuff on the website so that we can make the whole process work all the way through. So I've created a couple of forums in there. I'm just trying to work out how I link them together at the moment and make them work properly.
Graham, can you explain to everybody how are we going to know the numbers, how many we've got? What does everyone need to do so that we can look at that volume each week, how it's growing? Where do they need to go?
As in what numbers on the site, or?
Well, numbers of members, like, we need a certain number, don't we, to make this work?
Yeah, look, we do have a members area there, and I believe it does put the number up of members in the area once you go into the members thing, but you have to be a member to view it. I wanted to do that, obviously, to protect people who become members within it, so people can't just go, download a database or anything like that. So currently I think we're just on 7,200 members at the moment. We need to obviously get to 9 million, so we've got a long way to go, but we've got a reach to 2 million within the movement, roughly, is what I'm told. And that's Australia-wide. And I believe that once we actually put it out there, because when I go out and talk to people with masks on and I say to them, and I've been doing this for the last year, I get chatting to people who might be waiting in a line somewhere, and I'll just drop the casual line, do you trust the government? We might be talking about anything. It could be fracking even, or whatever. People have got some reason they don't trust the government, whether it's their taxes, fracking, sex scandals in Parliament, Dan Andrews and his tyranny and rubbish that he does. Very, very few people. So far I've had two. And I think you know, I'd have to have asked probably 5,000 or 6,000 people by now, maybe even more. It's a very, very small percentage of people who put their hand up and say, yes, I trust the government. So the idea is, if that's the main way that I've been approaching it. We all know, and we all are here because we don't trust the government. So I don't need to ask anyone here, what do you trust the government? I know you don't. But once people say no, they don't, the next thing I'm telling them is, would you consider an alternative direct democracy system where your voice can actually have some input and say, where you can propose your own policy and see it get developed? And yeah, everyone says yes. The big thing with the current system we have is there's no transparency and no accountability in it, right? What the QMS does is provides transparency and accountability, and it turns the pyramid upside down. Instead of having rulers, you know, on top telling us what to do, we will now tell the public services what to do. And when I say public services, I mean, look, whatever structure they take, we can redesign them. And if we don't like something we've done, even if we make a mistake, if we vote something in that probably shouldn't have gone in, this is real-time stuff. We can change it within a matter of weeks. All we'd have to do is lobby for it and get the information out there. It forces the media to be honest, because the media only has one place to go to for its information. And the media is seeing the same things we do, where the information's sitting there. It's transparent, everything's there. If an expert in one of the experts when testing, they're volunteers, so they're not on any payroll. They'd be vetted to make sure they're not part of, you know, big pharma or big banking corporations or anything like that, and that they've got no financial gain from what they're doing. But the thing is, we don't just have one expert or a small group of experts. There's hundreds of experts in every field out there. And if somebody does try to scam us or pull some Swifty through the process with it, there'll be other experts watching and they'll point it out and they'll raise it. So the idea is to check, cross-check and cross-reference everything and make sure that what we're being fed by these people is the truth. And we haven't been fed the truth by the politicians. Politician equals liar to me. I hold them in a similar regard to lawyers and parking inspectors. To me, you know, at the end of the day, the only way out from under an oppressive government, from under an oppressive regime, is to create a new one, to stand in your truth, be the best version of yourself that you possibly can, and you know, collectively stand together and take your will away from them. It's will that gives everything power. You give your will to the government and voting and paying tax and fines and all those things, you're giving them power. When you obey their directives and mandates, you're giving them power. If you don't want to give them power, you turn your back on it all and you walk away. And that's what we're doing. We're creating a system where we can actually do that. And the very least thing is that while we're running the processes through the QMS and testing everything and seeing it work, because people are going to put in things that are out there in the media now as far as their ideas on policies, et cetera, that'll come up. We will then see the discrepancy in what we, the people, want as opposed to what we, the people, get. So I think in itself, it'll wake a lot of people up as well. The other thing is, if you talk to someone with a mask on, try it tomorrow. Go and ask someone with a mask on, just randomly. You start chatting to them in general. I don't recommend just coming out with, do you trust the government? Because they sort of look at you a bit weird. I've tried that. And I wouldn't try to wake them up directly either. All I would say is, how do you feel about this? And do you trust them? And there's plenty of things you can pick on. How do you think about the sex scandal they had in Parliament recently? Do you think we can trust them? Oh, no, we can't trust them. But people say, oh, they're a different class to us. Yeah, they are. They're pigs, right? In fact, pigs are more intelligent, you know. Anyway, I'm going to wind the meeting up because we've gone a long time over time, and I'm pretty tired. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's helped, Tim and Wayne and Matt, and obviously Penny, Michelle, and Magic, who was in earlier. Harrison, thank you for your input, and I look forward to working a little bit further with you. Chad and Adam, thank you for coming in and saying your bits as well. And every one of you, I mean, thank you. I appreciate you being here. I love that you guys are following what we're doing, and I really appreciate your input, your engagement, your support. It's been really, really vital for me and for the system, especially of late. And I just want to say thank you. I mean, like, we will make this happen. We've got all of the parts we need to put it together. It's just how we assemble it now. and making sure that what we do in the assembly process is going to stand up to the tests that it's going to be subjected to. And as was mentioned earlier, one of them is going to be the ridicule of the media. One of them is going to be the government trying to pick it to pieces. So we need to make sure that this is done right from the very outset. That's why I'm holding back on releasing it a little bit, but we really are close to having it. And when we can work out a way that we can collect the money safely and in a way that we don't have to be a corporate entity and all that sort of rubbish to do it, we will start asking for donations. And once we hit that 5 million point, we're probably about 4 or 5 weeks away from having our country back. And I mean, it can be a very, very, very quick process. We do need to have a referendum to get rid of them. They won't let us have the referendum, but there's a way to do it right under their noses. So anyway, thank you all. I appreciate you being here. I have recorded this meeting and we will put it up in our Facebook groups and on the website as well. If you haven't already had a look around the website, it's www.theqms.org. I'd highly recommend you have a look around and check out what we're doing. We now have the People's Voice, which is the policy proposal part of the platform. It's in early stages at the moment, but you can promote policy on it. I'm hoping to have a different page there so that eventually you'll propose the policy on a different page and it'll go straight into that particular group that I've created for it. And of course, we've got all of the groups around the different, I guess you'd say, policies that need to be created, you know, health, education, welfare, all that sort of thing is there. If you've got an interest in any particular area of structure or policy development or what it should look like coming out the other side, please jump into one of those groups, engage with the people in there. We're trying to get some meetings up and going. If you can host meetings yourself, if you can run them, if you're motivated and you're one of these people that wants to get out there and do something, or you're not working and you're bored at the moment, jump in there and let's have the discussions. Let's get the content, let's get the information there, because the sooner we can do it all, the sooner we can step out from under this rubbish that we're all going through, and the sooner we can put a stop to it. So, and if anyone's got $5 million on here, touch base with me and through Penny, and you'll be the person that saves this country, because honestly, that's all I need to be able to run the referendum, and away we go. Anyway, again, thank you very, very much.
So if anybody wants to do any interviews or anything, just let me know. Well, I'm going to do a Rumble channel soon and we'll get some interviews going, get some of the other group members to come in. All of you take care, take your vitamin D, your zinc, your vitamin C, get some sleep, don't stay online too long, go to stand in the park tomorrow, talk to everybody.
Yeah, you're probably talking mostly to me there, aren't you? Yeah, she knows what I'm like. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. Really appreciate you being here, and we'll look forward to, we will run the meeting again next Saturday. We might do another meeting throughout the week. I'm not sure. We'll talk about that in the steering team meeting on Tuesday, but at this stage, until that's determined, we'll definitely be here Saturday.
Thursday. Let's do Thursday.
We can do Thursday as well. I think we do both at this stage, and we'll talk about it on Tuesday night anyway, okay, and decide then. So, but we'll definitely run one on Saturday night as well. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many numbers we get here. What counts is what's on the website, and what counts is when we need to get to that 9 mil. Once we get there, we're laughing. But don't necessarily have to be on the website. We've got different ways. So
I also run a support group on Wednesday. So if anyone's struggling and they just want to come in and talk, or you know someone that's struggling, just I'll put it out there, the link for that on Wednesday as well.
That's for anyone who's feeling lonely, depressed, or alone at the moment during the lockdowns. It's basically get in there, have a chat, and it's not recorded. It's a good night, and Penny does a great job of running those and hosting those. So yeah, thank you, Penny. I appreciate that. Anyway, again, thank you to everyone for being here tonight. Thank you for those that have been helping with everything and in the background, and thank you to everyone for your support. I'll see you guys next week, and I'll catch some of you during the week. Thank you, and Harrison, I'll call you shortly. Cheers. See you guys. Bye.
Good night.